The village of Okbala had never seen beauty like Romi's. Her skin was the color of fresh palm oil, smooth and glowing. Her eyes were large and bright, framed by lashes that swept like butterfly wings. When she walked to the market, everyone turned to stare. "Papi Ma, all this fish for 500. Amima screamed as she noticed her husband selling to Romi. As Romi walked away, Mama Emma started. "This is not the first time you'll be doing this. You admire her beauty to the extent it begins to control you." "It was a mistake." Papi Ma said, looking ashamed. "A mistake that would have cost us 5,000 naira worth of fish? I just did look you," Amima added. Romi had appeared at the village gate one evening 3 months ago, claiming to be from a distant village that had been destroyed by floods. She carried nothing but a small cloth bag and spoke little of her past. The village head, King Igodo, moved by her beauty and apparent helplessness, had given her a small hut near the market square, and there she had lived ever since. She kept to herself mostly, appearing only when necessary, to buy food at the market, to fetch water, to attend the monthly village meetings. She was polite but distant, beautiful but untouchable, and that distance only made her more desirable. Within months of her arrival, the madness began. Okoro, who had been planning to marry Adanna for 2 years, suddenly broke off their engagement. "I see clearly now, and I want Romi instead," he declared, ignoring Adanna's tears. Chidi left his pregnant wife and 4 children to stand outside Romi's hut every morning, begging her to marry him. One by one, the men of Okbala lost their minds over Romi. They brought her gifts, yam from their farms, palm wine from their trees, that should have gone to their wives. But Romi refused them all with the same gentle smile and soft voice. "I am honored, but I cannot accept," she would say, her eyes downcast in perfect modesty. "Look at her," Mangozi would tell her daughters. "None of you are as beautiful as Romi. Yet she is proud and she doesn't throw herself at men." The village's fate was sealed on the day King Emeka announced his intention to marry Romi. The announcement came during the monthly village meeting. King Emeka stood before his people. "People of Okbala," he began, "I have decided to take a new wife. The beautiful Romi has agreed to become my queen." The silence that followed was deafening. King Emeka was old enough to be Romi's grandfather. He already had 3 wives and 7 children. What could he possibly want with a young woman like Romi? But it was Queen Ogoli, the king's first wife and mother of his heir, who broke the silence. "My husband, this woman is a stranger to us. We know nothing of her family, her background, her character. Perhaps we should..." "Enough." King Emeka's voice thundered across the square. "I have made my decision. The marriage will take place in a week's time." The wedding was the grandest Okbala had ever seen. Romi wore a white wrapper embroidered with gold thread, her hair adorned with fresh flowers and coral beads. The traditional ceremonies were performed, the kola nut was shared, and the palm wine flowed freely. Musicians played drums and flutes, and the people danced until the stars appeared in the sky. It should have been a night of pure joy. Instead, it was the beginning of the end. Prince Ikenna, the king's 31-year-old son and heir to the throne, was found dead in his bed one morning. His body showed no signs of violence, no symptoms of illness. He had simply closed his eyes and never opened them again. The king mourned until Queen Romi suggested a solution. King Emeka, lost in his grief, agreed immediately. The village priest was summoned and elaborate rituals were performed. But instead of bringing peace, the rituals seemed to invite more darkness. Within a week, 5 more men had died in their sleep. All were young, all were healthy, and all were warriors who protected the village. And through it all, Queen Romi moved with perfect grace, offering comfort to the grieving, suggesting more rituals, more sacrifices. She was the model of a caring queen, and the people loved her for it. All except Queen Ogoli. "Can't you see what's happening?" she demanded of her husband one evening as they sat in his private chambers. "These deaths began the day you married that girl. She's bringing evil to our village." But King Godo, who had grown thin and pale since his son's death, only shook his head weakly. "Ogoli, you are not usually jealous. What's going on?" "This is not jealousy, my king. She's destroying us. Look at yourself. You are dying. Don't you care?" It was true. King Emeka had begun to waste away the day after his wedding, but he refused to hear his wife's warnings. Queen Ogoli decided that if her husband would not see the truth, then she would have to find it herself. It seemed as if the gods themselves rose to partner with her in this quest. Romi had always been fiercely protective of her privacy. No one was ever allowed into her hut. Everyone respected this boundary, assuming it was merely the shyness of a young woman adjusting to royal life. But on this particular day, Queen Ogoli, moving quickly but quietly, pushed open the door to Romi's hut. Her heart pounded as she stepped inside, knowing that discovery could mean her death. The hut was filled with strange objects. Queen Ogoli approached cautiously when she saw a strange, scary, withered woman with grey mottled skin and yellow teeth. Both women screamed at the same time, Ogoli in terror and the old woman in shock at being discovered. Queen Ogoli stumbled backward and fled the hut, her heart beating against her chest. As the evil in the village continued to spread and more good men died mysterious deaths, Queen Ogoli grew impatient. She could not stand by and watch her people suffer while she searched for evidence that others might believe. One early morning, she disguised herself in a dark hood and slipped out of the village. She traveled for 3 days until she reached the hut of an old medicine woman who lived at the edge of the forbidden forest. Queen Ogoli returned to the village days later, looking very happy. She found her co-wife Adamma in the queen's quarters and showed her the precious portion. "This will reveal the truth about Romi," she said quietly. The next day, Romi came out behaving like a mad woman. Queen Ogoli smiled as she went to Romi, inviting her to her room. Once they were alone in Queen Ogoli's private room, the truth began to pour out. "I am not Romi," the young woman said. "I am Ekwensu, the forbidden witch of Morayo village." She also revealed that all the surrounding villages were also watching their gates to ensure she doesn't enter. It was as she wandered in the evil forest that she met an evil creature that offered to give her back her life and make her much younger. In return, she would go on a revenge mission to the king of Obala village. Queen Ogoli's hands trembled as she listened, but she forced herself to remain calm. Romi further revealed that she came to Obala to destroy King Emeka, to weaken the village's defenses so that his demon servants could invade. Queen Ogoli was nervous and angry at the same time. She wanted to call for the elders to have witnesses to this confession, but even as she watched, Romi's eyes were beginning to clear. The potion was wearing off. As the young woman left the room, Queen Ogoli realized with growing despair that she should have brought witnesses. As she expected, when she told the elders, they even rebuked her for being wicked. "Queen Ogoli, everyone saw the young Romi these few days. She was clearly unwell, overwhelmed by all the tragedy that has befallen our village. How dare you impose these crimes on her?" "She's a forbidden witch," Ogoli insisted. "The forbidden witch is untrue. It's just a story told to frighten children. You are letting grief and suspicion cloud your judgment," an elder said to her. As the elders filed out of the meeting hall frustrated, Queen Ogoli stood alone in her defeat, knowing that the king would not live to see another sunrise and that she was powerless to stop it. That night, King Emeka died. The village erupted in chaos, but the greatest shock came the morning after the king's death. Romi woke to find herself staring at the horror she had not seen in months, her own true reflection. The mirror that had shown her borrowed beauty now revealed the ancient witch she had always been. Her skin was grey and withered, her hair thin and white, her eyes yellowed with centuries of evil. The demon's magic had abandoned her the moment the king's life ended. "No!" she screamed, clawing at her face as if she could scrape away the ugliness. "This cannot be! He promised me eternal youth! He deceived me!" The villagers, despite their fear, were drawn to the sound like moths to a flame. They gathered outside the compound, banging on the door of Romi. What they saw shook them to their bones. The beautiful Queen Romi was gone. In her place was an ancient witch. She stood screaming at her reflection with desperate fury. "Give it back!" she shrieked at the glass. "Give me back my beauty! Give me back my youth!" The villagers watched in horror. Romi had played her part perfectly. She had seduced the king, weakened the village's defenses, and opened the way for the demon's influence to spread. But now that her task was complete, the demon had abandoned her, leaving her to face the consequences of her action in her true, hideous form. The villagers' shock quickly turned to rage. Romi turned to face them with the fury of a cornered animal, but her strength was failing. The villagers surged forward and grabbed her, dragging her from the hut, ignoring her screams and curses. They dragged Romi to the center of the village. There, they built a fire and threw her into the flames. Her final screams echoed across the village as the fire consumed her ancient flesh. But even as she burned, she continued to curse them. promising that her master would return, that the gateway she had opened would never be truly closed. The villagers watched in grim silence until there was nothing left but ash and smoke. Then, without a word, they dispersed to their homes, leaving the village square empty, except for the dying embers of the fire. And so the tale of Ekwensu the witch and the village of Okpala passed into legend, a reminder that true beauty comes not from magic or deception, but from the courage to see and speak the truth, no matter how painful it might be.